Hello, hello. Bl'Artagnan here, bringing you Dimension's End, Transcendence Tier 3, Crucible 2. We're fighting these Behemoths again. I think this is probably the fight that's giving people the most difficulty. It's not actually a hard fight per se. Mechanically speaking, it's pretty tame. The trick is, it's one of those annoying fights where the orb is reliant on the boss taking certain actions. In this case, dealing HP damage for you to mitigate. It's kind of like with the Arciela Lost chapter, where you're relying on the boss buffing themselves, and then they don't, and then it's like, well, I guess I lose. Stay hydrated, by the way. Yeah, so, I mean, the first thing I would say if you're having difficulty here is breaking them out of order is pretty essential to make sure they get enough turns. I find that once they start with a Brave attack, but then they pretty reliably follow that up with an HP attack, then a Brave attack, all attacks. I personally wasn't encountering a whole lot of trouble because the orb goes up by 4 every time you mitigate, and they tend to do back-to-back HP attacks like this. When I say mitigate, I mean reduce the damage with a buff like Warrior of Light or Porum, but also it appears that dodging with Galuf seems to work as well. I'm not sure whether or not it's like. My suspicion is that it looks and sees if it would have mitigated the damage if the HP attack hit, but I don't know. Spaghetti code sometimes. Maybe it doesn't. It's so long as you don't take damage. Not sure exactly mechanically how it works. All I can say is Galuf works like a charm here, so if you have him and are having trouble, he's a great unit to bring along. I'm also bringing Golbez, who is fueled by that rude call I started the fight with, and he's great here as well because he's slow, meaning he lets the bosses take as many actions as they need to, whereas Serah keeps turn jumping. Ugh. She's here to fill the white crystal requirement, and because, you know, Serah OP. For the most part, we're not going to see the orb get too low on us, because, you know, as you can see here, they're about to all attack twice. So it's going to get a little low, but it's going to shoot right back up. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention in the beginning, please like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more content like it, leave a comment below sharing the team you used, how you felt about this stage, or you know, how I could be presenting these things better. Love that feedback, and the algorithm loves it even more. Yeah. So, we're about to take a couple of all attacks to the face. With Rude Call, I'm pretty confident we're going to be able to just eat them without really caring. Yeah, barely brought Serah below full HP. Golbez is actually good here beyond just you know, being a slow damage dealer, because he actually has built-in HP mitigation. Not enough to carry the stage, I suspect, just because if they don't target him, it gets awkward. I guess you could put a lock call on him if you want to get creative. But yeah, no, he's a tremendous asset here as well, so long as you can actually deal with the orb. So one annoying thing, speaking of things that Golbez isn't good at dealing with, is they push off his generic buff there by doing the big old generic buff overload, which includes HP regen, which is a little annoying, but it's not punishing to the, like, it's not like 5% of their HP or something like we've seen on some stages. It's a fairly tame, like, 100,000, so basically, right after they do, you know, they basically are healing off a single Galuf counter. I'm not super upset about that. Yeah, overall, I definitely found this to be a fairly tame Transcendence. Obviously, Tier 1's a bit of a joke because you can, like, meme launch it to death. And this one, so long as you're not outspeeding the bosses, I found it to be fairly tame. It could be, you know, whoever, maybe you're bringing someone who is taking just a few more turns than the boss is normally able to allow. Could be something like that. Obviously, you know, I can't troubleshoot your team in my own video because I don't know what you're doing there. And hey, for all I know, if you're watching this, maybe you cleared this and were like, well, this was easy. Let's see what Bl'Art did. That doofus. So, the thing with this, all 3 of these tiers, I think I said this in the other video, but I'm gonna repeat it here, is we've become kind of used to having to deal with HP conditional, or HP threshold mechanics, is what I should say. Kind of as a way of gating us, you know, like basically, once they get to a certain threshold, something important happens and we have to work around it. you know, they get a barrier, or the next attack kills. I don't know. You get the idea. These fights don't have that, and it kind of confuses me because, like, it really makes it feel kind of like a Chaos Era fight. Like, the bosses aren't that tanky. The orb conditions aren't super niche. And I mean that in the true sense of the word, which is to say, like, a really specific kind of requirement. It's really pretty general. We have a lot of ways to mitigate damage. We have a lot of ways to launch, and don't even get me started on HP regen. Like, I'm seeing people forget to bring HP regen for their first two teams, and for the third team in Reckoning bring, like, Ico and Penelo Call and use that to manage the orb, which I think is awesome. I didn't actually think to do that. I actually brought Kryl in the last fight because she has a Porum Sphere, and I was like, oh, good, that'll be my HP regen. And then I was like, actually, I need Galuf here because the third tier does have quite a few AoE HP attacks, so you can't rely purely on 9 to get you through all of them, which was my original plan. $3 million damage. I'm using the Iroha call on Golbez here. I was pretty excited to try that, and it worked. Broke that 3 million number, which is pretty cool. I was hoping to bring Iroha into the fight, but you know, crystal requirements. And boom, Jesus Christ, that was nearly 1.1 million damage on an LD. Golbez, you beast. I think my commentary whenever I'm playing Golbez and start using his burst gets a little bit samey, because every time it just becomes me gushing about how much damage he does on his LDs, which I do find very exciting. But for your sake, let's try to talk about something else. Oh, right. So what you might have just seen there is with Galuf, I used Ramza Call. The reason there being, I should have brought Kurasame Call, but I just kind of brain farted and was like, oh, I'll need to launch them in the Reckoning, and I'm bringing Galuf to Reckoning, and then I just kind of forgot to change the call for this fight. As mentioned, this fight isn't especially difficult, so it didn't really cause me a problem that I didn't bring the perfect call to it. If there is such thing as a perfect call for a fight that you're running, then there's a decent chance you're probably you're trying to get by on a shoestring budget or something. Anyway, this life counter did it. That's Crucible 2 down, on to Reckoning. Goodness. Well, I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching. Adios.